But I hear this argument like a lot about Roman slavery. Can you say something about Roman slavery and how it was different from US slavery?
It's not even that like American slavery was more brutal than Roman slavery per se. It's not a competition of brutalities. Roman slavery was really fucking brutal.
Hmm.
It's that the impact of American slavery lives with us to this day. It is something that is not gone and dead.
Right.
It is very much in the present. Roman slavery was long ago, and it's a system that fell apart long ago and has zero impact on the present. So when we talk about Roman slavery, we can talk about it with a certain detachment because it doesn't impact us.
Hmm.
But it also is a fundamentally different form of slavery, even though it's also chattel slavery. It is chattel slavery, but it's fundamentally different.
I think part of the reason why they're saying this is because they want to downplay race and say it had nothing
Yes.
to do with race.
Right. Well, there are two things that differentiate Roman slavery, that there are more than two things, but there are two things I want to focus on that differentiate Roman slavery from American slavery. One, Roman slavery didn't produce for the capitalist market because there was no such thing as a capitalist market
Hmm.
in ancient Rome. So Roman slavery produced for the Roman economy, which was based on the collection of tribute and rent from conquered territories. So if you were a slave in the conquered territory, whether it was mining or in agriculture, you had to collect the material that you can pay to the center of power in Rome as a province as the tribute or the rent. It produced for consumption by elites and aristocrats. When you hear about all the amazing things that Rome excelled in, trade and all that stuff, that wasn't for the people. That was for a very thin layer of elites
Hmm.
in the Roman aristocracy. It produced to sustain the growing populations of the cities and their slums. And that's where you get the large scale agricultural plantations in, for example, Italy, and all worked by slaves. It produced for state supplies, bullion and coinage, gold, silver, copper, weaponry, all extracted through mining and quarrying. That was a particularly brutal form of enslavement where the slaves died so quickly that they didn't even bother bringing women for the slaves to naturally reproduce because it was easier to just go conquer new territories and get new slaves. They used slaves for urban and domestic service, which included everything from concubines to gladiators to instructors and teachers to secretaries and eventually even government bureaucrats. So you get here a sense where Roman slavery was very different and that was much more variegated. There were no teachers in American slavery, slaves who were teachers. There were no secretaries. There were no government bureaucrats who were slaves.
Yeah, if I
But you
was a
did
slave teacher, I would be teaching those kids all kinds of fucked up stuff.
yeah. But it was like the height of fashion for a Roman aristocrat to have a Greek slave teacher.
And also, the whole idea within the US was that Black people were biologically inferior.
Yeah. That brings up the other thing about Roman slavery that was so different from the American system of slavery. The Romans had absolutely no concept of race. The overwhelming majority of slaves in Rome were the product of wars of conquest. It had nothing to do with whether they were white, black, brown, anything else.
So,
You
so,
lost a war, tough shit.
yeah.
You're now a slave.